Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, most beneficent, most merciful. This is a momentous occasion for the Islamic Center of Long Island for the launch of the Interfaith Institute of the Islamic Center. We are grateful to God who has shown us this day of celebration, and we honor Him. Islamic Center of Long Island has a proud history of interfaith work and initiatives. Congratulations to the members of the Interfaith Institute of Islamic Center of Long Island who have carried the torch of interfaith harmony on Long Island and beyond to a level of distinction that delivers the message of universalism brought by all the prophets of God.
We are entering the area of the prayer. This is our mosque at the Islamic Center of Long Island, and as we are walking in the direction of Mecca, the Qibla. As you can see in the front, we have mihrab, we call a mihrab. That's where the person who leads the prayer will be standing. And all of us are facing towards Mecca, and the carpet, as you see, is designed in a way to make it easy for the congregants to stand in lines so that the lines are straight and they know which direction to face it.
Dr. Khan, one of the first things that strikes me is that the room, by comparison to a church or synagogue, is stark. Why is that?
When we are inside the mosque, we are in the presence of the Creator, and we want to minimize any and all distractions. So therefore, you will not see any decorations on the walls, you won't see any pictures on the walls. It'll be as simple. The tone of the paintings, the color will be earthly, will be toned down to get that kind of mental tranquility that you're really in communication with the Creator and nothing outside is going to distract you.
In a lot of ways, this is very similar, and the idea of a simple prayer place without images is very similar to the laws that we follow in Judaism.
Well, I noticed that when I went to your synagogue.
Yeah.
Can you explain the hijab for us?
Well, the Quran tells us that the believing men and the believing women should be modest and lower their gazes. And this is a way of being modest.
You know, in churches, in Catholic churches, you always see women with veils and head coverings. And it's also true in traditional synagogues that women will cover their heads as well. So this isn't just a Muslim thing at all. It really is all the Abrahamic faith.
I wanted non-Muslims to appreciate the power of this journey and the universality of the journey, because all of us really in our faith quests are looking to know God better. We're looking to know who we are and what's our purpose in being here on planet Earth, and how can we improve our circumstances. And that's part of what this quest is about, and I think people could relate to that.
17 years ago, I met a rabbi. His name is Mark Gelman, and we formed the God Squad. You may have seen us on a show in New York, or heard us on Imus in the morning, or seen us on Telecare. Well, recently, Mark and I felt as though it was important that we extend that outreach religiously, that people have a right to see that religious leaders admire each other, work together with each other, are in harmony with each other. And we found the best way that that can happen is through friendship. It's going to somebody's house. It's walking across the street and meeting somebody in their own territory. And so we invited Dr. Farrell Khan and the Muslim community to come and to do a show, which turned out to be our Muslim friends and neighbors. And it's an extraordinary show, and it's an example of exactly what Telecare stands for, and that is bringing people together. We've had a history of a number of years, but this was the biggest commitment you and I have made to each other in doing this show. Can you tell me what your reaction was when I first talked to you about it?
Father Tom, I was just thinking as I came to the studio about a year ago, last January, we met for the first time about this idea that you had. And here we are a year later, and you have already shown clips of what was accomplished. What did it mean to the Muslim community? To me personally, It was fantastic. It was just outstanding. A great gesture on your part. And the community is really appreciative because what you have done is allowed the Muslims to talk for themselves without somebody else coming in and saying this is
obviously the tensions in the Middle East and the tensions in the war on terror have made it very difficult for the Muslim community, and what we really want to do is to help address the simple truth that the only way that prejudice can grow is out of the soil of ignorance.
Absolutely.
And once people know that Islam is a wonderful religion, once they know that their Muslim neighbors are their neighbors, they're boys and girls and men and women who want the very same thing that everyone wants, and who believe in a world of peace and justice, and who believe in the same God that we all believe in. And once everyone understands that, I really think that prejudice and discrimination will disappear.
Rabbi, the beauty of this United States is that here's you and I are sitting in a Catholic studio and talking about our commonalities. I mean, where else can this happen?
Nowhere.
Nowhere. Absolutely.
And Dr. Pless M. Dickerson, President of the Westbury Board of Education, former educator in the Westbury School District and Superintendent of the Wyandanch School District for about 5 years. Education of the young people in harmony, peace is something that is sorely needed. The younger, the better. I congratulate them and applaud them on this initiative.
Okay, my name is Teresa Anthony, and I came to this country in 1957 as a Fulbright exchange student to do my PhD at Fordham University.
My name is John Overvold. I am the Corporate Director for Chaplaincy Services for North Shore LIJ Health System here on Long Island. I've had a great experience with working with the Islamic Center of Long Island, initially in bringing our students who are training as professional chaplains. And it was a great way for people to learn about the Muslim faith, and also to be prepared to work with people from our community who are Muslim that come for health care. It's really grown over the years, as more recently we've actually had our first Muslim chaplain train with us. And it's been just such a powerful experience to use the multi-faith model, which is what professional chaplaincy is about, and include also a chaplain who is Muslim by faith. And we've had such a powerful experience with our chaplains, but even more so with patients and families who experience that warmth of care, that sense of the human connection that comes, and also really knowing it comes from a spiritual person. So the work of ICLI has really been fabulous. It's such a wealth of information, such a great service industry here in Long Island. Really great that we can have this relationship, and look forward to what happens in the years to come.
My name is Richard Tibbetts. I'm the past secretary of the Long Island Interfaith Alliance. I feel blessed to have been invited to today's launch of the Interfaith Institute. As a Catholic and an Interfaith Alliance member, I was glad to stand with my friends, Muslim friends, when the Muslim community was being unjustly blamed for the atrocities committed by terrorists preaching a perverted interpretation of Islam. On the contrary, the ICLI leaders have been quick to speak out in opposition to the attacks on other victims of racial and religious intolerance. Two events stand out in my mind. Back in 2008, two ICLI leaders spoke at a rally in Patchogue to protest the murder of Marcelo Lucero, an Ecuadorian immigrant, by a gang of high school kids. In 2012, several ICLI officials joined other religious and civic leaders to speak out at a press conference denouncing hatred and anti-Semitism following the vandalizing of a menorah in Plainview. I wish to congratulate the leaders of the Islamic Center of Long Island for this wonderful event today, and for their many efforts to promote religious and racial understanding in our community. I'm glad that the Interfaith Institute will promote, help to promote a better world for all our children, with understanding among all groups. Thank you.
My name's Bernard Firestone, and I am the Dean of the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences at Hofstra University, and I'm also a professor of political science at Hofstra. I've come to know the Islamic Center of Long Island from various meetings I've had with Dr. Farouk Khan, who is one of the leading figures here, and also other members of the center. I've attended interfaith events at the center, and I was delighted to hear a couple of years ago that the center is interested in establishing an interfaith center. And not only that, but that they would be interested in enlisting my services. I was very honored by it. I'm delighted to play a role as a trustee of the Institute with other people representing the various constituencies here on Long Island. I think that the Islamic Center of Long Island is extremely forward-thinking and understands that in a multicultural, multi-ethnic, multi-religious society, it is important to reach out to people of other faiths and to reach out to people who have other kinds of cultural backgrounds. I think it's especially important today because as one looks around the world, tragically, religion is frequently viewed as a source of division. It is viewed as a source of violence, and therefore it is exceptionally important for people of goodwill to demonstrate that despite the fact that they can hold very strongly to a faith tradition, that faith tradition does not impel them to make war against others, but rather makes them reach out to other people, people of other faiths as well. And I think therefore the work of the Institute and the work of the Center are extremely praiseworthy, not only because of the substance of the work that will be done, but because of the message it conveys. And that message is that religion and peace are not incompatible. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace be unto you. I am so happy to be a part of the Islamic Center's Advisory Board, and I rejoice.
Lynn Dobrin, and I am delighted to be here for the launching of this new center. Now, I happen to be a neighbor and somebody who has worked closely with the center over the years. I'm an ethical humanist, and we have had people from the center come and talk about Islam at our ethical society. But my connection goes even deeper than that. I write, and I live just down the road, and I love driving by here and looking at all the flowers. I'm a garden writer, amongst other things. So over the years, I've written about the center twice because the gardens out here are really stunning. And that's part of the care that I've seen at the center that people take with being a part of the community and being good neighbors. The other thing that I'm working on now with the center and with ISMA is I do work with the Adelphi, New York State Breast Cancer Hotline. We are a hotline that helps women and men who have been diagnosed with breast cancer. And we've been here once before to work with the women to educate them about breast cancer and to let them know what they can do and where they can get help for what they do. And we are launching another effort where some of the members here might become volunteers on our hotline. I find that the center is always receptive to ways to be involved in the community and to connect and to bring services to their members and bring things to the community from which we would all benefit. And I know we're going to benefit from this new center.
I'm Tom Goodhue, the Executive Director of the Long Island Council of Churches, and it's a joy to be part of the launch of this new Interfaith Institute at the Westbury Mosque. I've really enjoyed my contact with the Islamic Center of Long Island over the past 15 or 20 years or so. They've been great partners in the work that we do. We're the biggest ecumenical and interfaith organization on Long Island, and we work with people from many different faith communities. And the Westbury Mosque has just been wonderful partners in interfaith dialogue, interreligious education. One of the things I've really appreciated about the Westbury Mosque is the way in which they've been willing to tackle topics in a respectful way that can be difficult to talk about in the dialogues that they have had with the Jewish community. They've started off with things that were easy, like how do we celebrate our holidays, but they've moved on to much more difficult and divisive topics of the Middle East conflict and the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and things like that that are often hard for us to hear each other and to understand one another. And I'm really hoping that this institute is going to do that in a whole new way, of help us to have dialogue that goes beyond simply us expressing our differences to really learning from one another in a whole new way.
My name is Stephen Markowitz. I am chairman of the board of the Holocaust Memorial and Tolerance Center of Nassau County. The Holocaust Center has had a long relationship with the Islamic Center of Long Island, and we have worked together on many mutual programs to teach tolerance to adults and young people throughout the community. There is so much concern about the growing Muslim population in the New York area and the United States in general, and it's so important that people get a chance to learn more about what Islam is all about and to learn how to live with and understand their Muslim neighbors. We have done programs on the experiences in countries like Albania, which is a Muslim country in Europe, that did terrific work in protecting its Jewish population during the Holocaust. We have had meetings at the ICLI, and the ICLI has come to our Holocaust Center. And the creation of this institute will only further the work in a world that's more troubled than ever, that we have to learn to get along here, and hopefully that'll have an impact on people getting along elsewhere as well.
My name is Thomas F. Liotti. I'm the village judge in Westbury, Long Island, and an attorney in Garden City, and an adjunct professor of law in the Paralegal Studies program at Nassau Community College. I'm here today in honor of the Islamic Center of Long Island and the Interfaith Institute, which has been launched, and it is a tremendous undertaking. This is a wonderful, wonderful event and a wonderful facility, all brand new and beautiful. And I just want to say that the center here has been working very hard to enforce First Amendment rights, freedom of religion, and to gain acceptance and interfaith with all of the religions in our county and in our nation. And it's a tremendous lesson for the rest of the world, because we have to overcome the image of some Muslims as terrorists and so on. That is not the case, but we need centers like this to change that image.